I've been hard at work for hours. All the pieces are in place, and I've got one thing on my mind.
What's the point?
Why do I have all these things? I just hate trees. It's either I'm just nuts, and it's either this or I murder someone.
Now look at this. It's that. Super Mario 64 is my favorite game of all time. Oh, never mind, I guess.
What is there to say about Super Mario 64 that hasn't been said? Seriously, am I supposed to tell you how it shaped gaming forever? Or what an incredibly designed game it is? I wasn't born when it came out, so I don't know the impact it had. Hell, even now you can argue I still don't.
I don't remember walking to a toy store and seeing it for sale. I don't remember hearing about it from my friends. I never read about it in a magazine. I could just say, oh, they don't make them like they used to, but I mean, what do they make like they used to? Fair point. Let's just start at the very beginning. September 29th, 1996, when Super Mario 64 first came out. 9 years later, so did I. I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but bear with me. Fast forward again about 3 years or so, and a crushing reality sets in. There is not much for a little kid with no social skills whatsoever to do at a relative's house. You don't have a phone or anything to distract yourself. You don't really have a friendship with any of your cousins. You can't exactly hold a real conversation with them either. And even if you did, what would you talk about? So, just take a leisurely stroll down to the basement. There's gotta be something down here to make the time go by faster. To my surprise, there was. In the corner of one of the rooms, there was an old TV with a strange-looking thing hooked up to it. Upon closer inspection, I figured out what it was. It was a video game console. I knew what those were. My older brothers had a GameCube and PS2, but I wasn't allowed to even look at those things. But I mean, I could probably figure this out. I know how to turn the TV on and flick a switch, so what's the worst I can...
It's me, Mario!
I mean, I guess it is always polite to introduce yourself first. So, here I am. This incredible, pivotal moment in my life. This was the first video game I've ever played. Did I know what I was doing? Nope. Did I know how to read? Nah. All I knew was this. When I press a button, something happens. When I move this thing in a direction, the little guy on screen did too. I guess that's what enticed me, the control. I mean, come on, control is kind of hard for a 3-year-old to find. Like, not too long ago, I just started being able to control when I can go to the bathroom by myself. So for the next few hours, I just continued to run around the castle area, swimming, jumping, and doing whatever I thought was possible, which at this point was everything. When it was finally time to go, my parents came downstairs to get me, and I just had to show them what I had found, only for them to tell me, oh, we already have one of these at home. You mean to tell me the literal coolest thing I've ever seen at this point in my life was just hiding in my house? I think that's bad. You want to know how I reacted when I finally hit the legal drinking age?
Yeah, me too.
My parents helped me hook up their old Nintendo 64 to the TV in mine and my brother's room, and you couldn't pull me away from it. I was playing not only my first ever game, but I was playing Donkey Kong 64, Mario Party 3, F-Zero X, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. Wait, what the hell? Every collection has to start somewhere, and I guess my parents started here.
I tell you all this just to reiterate a point. It's my favorite game of all time because of how fun it is, yes, but also because I grew up playing it. And that's okay.
There's your exposition. Nostalgia is a big reason as to why I love this game, but let's go a little further in time, all the way to, Wait, I live here.
This game may have impressed me back in 2008, but while back then I didn't have any standards, I do now. I am much more analytical, I am much more unforgiving of a game's flaws, and I'm way, way less fun. Just because you love something doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to recognize its flaws. That's how you know you truly love it. So I think it's about time I did just that.
Here is where it all started. Our one and only objective right now is to go to the castle, but this area is almost like the game's way of telling us to take our time. There's no music, no waypoint, there's just the sound of water and the chirping of birds. Then there's you. This is your chance to familiarize yourself with the game's controls. Learn how to side flip, back flip, wall jump, triple jump. It really seems like your options are endless here with all the unique movement options you have. Those endless options are what feed the idea of Mario 64, the childhood sense of freedom. We'll talk more about that later, but for right now, I've been a little too positive. That's not gonna fly.
When do we start whining?
If I had to pick one thing to complain about in Super Mario 64, it'd probably be the fact that Wet Dry World scares the hell out of me, and then I'd complain about the camera. I have played and beaten this game nearly like 50 times in my whole life, and each time, I get more and more used to the camera controls. But if I'm making a review on Mario 64, which I am, please believe me, I gotta talk about this. So to help people become used to the idea of a camera in their video games, they include this little guy, Lakitu. He's their cameraman, and who f***ing hired him, seriously? I found his Indeed account, all of his reference pictures look like this. Pressing the little yellow buttons located right over here will move the camera, but you don't even have to, as Lakitu will move to wherever he thinks is best, i.e. the fixed camera positions, which do their damnedest not to clip into any level geometry, and due to this, they kinda blow. You can zoom in and out too, but honestly these features are pretty much worthless. You can remove them entirely and my feelings on the game will be the exact same as they are right now. It just honestly feels like it's a little bit off. Not enough to ruin the game, but enough to be slightly annoying sometimes. If you've never played the game, I know I'm making it sound awful here, but trust me, it's really not that bad. It just takes some getting used to, but you know, so does rent. So anyway, once you enter the castle, our freedom from outside quickly becomes limited. It's a little overwhelming at first, seeing all these doors, but you'll soon find out we can't enter any because we are poor. Only one level is open to us with 0 stars, and that's the best first level in history, Bob-omb Battlefield. Let me break this down for you, okay? Our first objective in the game is called Big Bob-omb on the summit. So obviously we have to climb the summit. Just make our way over here and, oh, let me guess, for this star we have to answer its collect call. Just a little further and here we are, the Big Bob-omb. Take him out with his helpful instructions to collect our very first star. Once we're out of there, we're told we can move on to the next level, but I mean, we're already here, so. Mission 2, Foot Race with Koopa the Quick. He's gotta beat this big guy in a race and he promises us a star, so just do that. These first missions aren't very difficult, they're just our chance to learn the lay of the land. Once we get out of the way, it's time for a shoot to the island in the sky, and wait a minute, I don't know how to do that. But there is something I do know how to do. It's all from the collect call star. Just ground pound that and... Is someone gonna come looking for that? Anyway, we got that done, so we can spend more time trying to figure out how to get up here, and hey, we did it. Break this box and get our star. Find the red coins? Well, I've been exploring for more than long enough. I know where all those are. Bam! The last star is called Mario Wings to the Sky, and... well, we know how to get to the sky already. Just make our way up here, and... how do I wing to the sky? Now, for the first time in the game, we're stuck. Now our freedom from the starting area comes right back to us. We've got enough stars to pretty much go anywhere we want now. The more stars we gain, the more levels we can enter, and the more missions to beat and stars to collect. I could talk about these levels for days. Jolly Roger Bay is one of the greatest songs ever composed playing in the background. Lethal Lava Land lets you go in the volcano with 2 stars to collect here. Sifting Sand Land, same principle with the pyramid. Wet Dry Wood scares the hell out of me. Tiny Huge Island has this really cool gimmick where you go into these pipes and change the size of the island. TikTok Clock takes place entirely within the clock. You can change the speed of the gears depending on which time you enter the painting.
It's those same levels where each piece of Super Mario 64's puzzle falls into place, and that's with the help of the caps.
You see, Super Mario 64 decided to forego the power-up lifestyle of its predecessors. By hitting switches hidden all over the game, certain colored blocks will gain matter, and Mario's abilities can change at the drop of a hat. Is the wing cap, which lets Mario glide around for a short time, allowing him to reach high points of the level. The vanish cap makes Mario disappear, and he can now move through grates, go undetected by certain enemies, and traverse the levels in such a fashion that you won't even realize you only need to use this cap like 4 times. And the metal cap makes Mario invincible and makes him lose the ability to swim. Honestly, I love this trio of power-ups. They all feel meaningful, and they all offer a new and fun way to tackle different missions. And to get to those missions and much more, you need to familiarize yourself with Peach's Castle. The Palace of 1,000 Paintings, it's the main hub world in this game. On the surface, it just seems like a way to get to all of our main levels, right? Well, yes and no. That's its main function, yes, but there's also the Castle's secret stars, little mini challenges sprinkled throughout the levels with usually about 1 or 2 stars to collect. And trust me, they don't make it easy to find on your first playthrough. You really gotta pick and prod at it to make these reveal themselves. There's even entire levels that are only accessible through hidden walls. They really wanted you to push this place to its limits in terms of secrets. Once you make your way up the castle, the game ends with a final Bowser fight, but this time you have to hit him 3 times instead of 1. Hip hip hooray.
I don't know if I was just a video game prodigy or something as a kid, but this game really wasn't that hard for me. In fact, I was even able to beat the first Bowser with the controller upside down. That even got my parents to test me for dyslexia, and not to brag or anything, but I passed without even trying. I haven't even scratched the surface in this game yet, by the way. I could talk about the giant speedrunning community behind it, how many mods there are for it. I even had an entire paragraph written directly about how badly I wanted to get outside the aquarium area. I'm telling you, as a kid, no other game stretched my imagination this far than this.
So, there. That's my thoughts on the game today. I don't see anything wrong with saying this game is my favorite game of all time for nostalgic reasons, but I know people make the argument against that all the time. To the people who think that memories of a game shouldn't have anything to do with your perception of it, just think about the games from your childhood. What feelings come to mind? Are they warm, fuzzy feelings? Do you resent the games you grew up with? I mean, why else are you so quick to say someone who likes older releases more than newer ones is just nostalgia blind?
The essence of that feeling is best represented in Super Mario 64 to me, and I know I'm not alone on that. My main childhood memories of this game are what anyone's childhood video game memory should be. I remember playing it, I remember having fun. Even still, I can have my valid complaints, like how I don't like the camera sometimes, or how I don't like how collecting a star kicks you out of the level. What a pace breaker. The cannon angles are hard, some later level layouts make no sense at all and feel too similar to older ones. Some mission names don't help at all when trying to figure out how to go about them, and Wet Dry World still scares the hell out of me. Do these complaints make me love the game any less? Absolutely not.
Nostalgia can make us feel happy, but it can be bittersweet at times. It can cloud up our view of the past and make us think everything was better back then, even when in reality we're better off in our present positions. In fact, focusing on what you have now and appreciating it is a great way to not let nostalgia blind you. Making new memories in the present and being careful when romanticizing your past life, no matter what might have been better back then. It's not something that'll just happen overnight, let's be honest. It's gonna take work, of course, work and consistency. Doing so just might be the only way to move forward if you're stuck in the past. Despite this, there's nothing wrong with healthfully taking a trip down memory lane every once in a while. Doing this can remind us of our real selves. Perhaps knowing where you have been certainly does help you see where you will be going.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey psychologically conditioned me into caring about hockey. Good night, everybody.